Good morning, friends and family. Okay. Can hear this? So I'm going to try to start the first part of the service, and then I'm going to ask for my mother's dear friend Johnson to just do the sermon for us. So we wanted to have Dr. Reverend Daniel Maluleke here today, but unfortunately he couldn't make it, and I'm sure he is following us on YouTube. So welcome to everybody on YouTube. So just in terms of this service, you should all have the memorial booklet. Because some of you won't understand Afrikaans, we decided to translate. So when it's in cursive, it's been a translation, but when it's normal print, it's it's actually English. And I just want to thank all 9 Elise, my sister in New Zealand, for doing that for us, for doing us the translation and the editing. So in terms of the service, we are really just here as family and friends to honor a lady that had a lot of impact on all our lives. Sorry to see my colleagues in this. Quite difficult. So I just want to, for the risk of leaving people out, I'm still going to try to do it, but I firstly just want to, on the online people, just welcome Tanya Esther, my mother's sister, who's in Johannesburg. So we decided that it will be too strenuous for her to attend, but Tanya Esther, thank you. We appreciate what you've done for her as well. So. Then my 2 sisters, Olna and Akwadli Elise in New Zealand, Auckland, they're joining from there on YouTube. And my other sister Rachel and her husband Barend will also be joining on YouTube, so welcome to you. And then right in front, our close family, my wife Annette, and then Barend and Karen, my brother and his wife, and Maria and Kolia, who were really most amazing grandchildren to my mother, and their 2 daughters. And welcome here, and welcome to all the other grandchildren joinings, 4 of them from the Netherlands, and some of the others in South Africa. So it's quite a difficult week. It feels like 6 months went by since Warren phoned me on Monday to tell me about my mother's passing. And we didn't know who to tell, so we started to tell a few people, and suddenly it just exploded. And it was so heartwarming to see all the messages and the condolences that were shared on the WhatsApp group. And it is wonderful, and I hope a lot of you are also joining us today on YouTube. The service will be recorded, so that will be available afterwards. And I know somebody like Arthur, he said he will actually watch the service in the early hours in North America, which we appreciate. But if there's any friends or family that you think would be interested, the recording will be available afterwards. So let's just start with a prayer. So let's just bow our heads. Heavenly Father, we here with immense gratitude as we bow our heads before you to celebrate the life of one of your faithful servants, Frieda Vorster. Over the past week, we shared a lot of memories and reflections about her life, and we will continue to do so today. But we realize that that is just a testament to your everlasting love, your steadfastness and your faithfulness that she just demonstrated throughout her own life. We ask that you would bless us as we gather here today. We also ask for strength as we commit her body back to the earth. And we also pray for your peace as we go into the future. We ask that in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen. So, at the risk of getting interrupted because of some tears, I thought, let me just give a brief history of my mother, because I was saying to my wife, I just asked her on the way here, what is a laslappie in English? And we said maybe it's a patchwork or a quilt. And when I think about my mother, that was really what her life was about. So she was born in 1932, in August 1932, in Lindley, in the Free State. And her father and mother were a minister's couple here close by in Fochville. So they were he was a minister in one of the Afrikaans Reformed churches in the Forum de Kerk. And I actually went past the church yesterday, which he built in the early, I think in the 40s. Yeah. So she was welcomed into that home. And then later on, they received a calling to Springs. So he also had a congregation in Springs. And unfortunately, that's where he passed away when she was only 9 years old. And that was a tragedy for her. So she dearly loved her father. And throughout her life, she referred to her father and the big loss that she experienced when he passed away. Then they had during her school years, it was really a tough time. Her mother had to go and find a job, and my grandma then found a position in an orphanage in Pretoria. So they stayed in a very limited space, she, her sister and her brother, for a number of years, and they really struggled. But then she went to university, and there she met my dad, so they got married. I'm not sure, Warrant, was it 51, 52 or 53, can't remember, but round about there, he was also a minister in the Forum de Kerk. And they just right after their marriage, they actually got married here in Potchefstroom because my dad was from Potchefstroom. They left for their honeymoon on the way to the Netherlands for my father to start his PhD studies at Groningen University, which was a 2-week trip, so no aeroplanes in those days. But she really enjoyed her time in Holland, as she used to call it. And she went around while my dad was studying. She went around addressing women's associations and church groups, telling them about South Africa. And at that time, my older sister, Olna, was born, and they came back on an aeroplane once my father graduated. And the aeroplane actually had to stop, I think, twice on the way back from Amsterdam, because the aeroplanes in those days couldn't fly that far. So then they were in the congregation in Auckland Park. So I see service there at the back. One of my colleagues, he lives in Auckland Park. So that's where they started their ministry. And then my father really got sick, heart problems, and then they decided to place him in a more farming community, and they went to Magaliesburg. So, Barend, I think you were born in Johannesburg, hey? Yeah. And they really enjoyed it in Magaliesburg. My mother also enjoyed it a lot there. And then after 6 years, my sister Rachel was born in Magaliesburg, but then my dad decided that he was worried about his health, and he said, let me rather move back or into a more secure position where I can provide for my family and my 4 children. And he accepted a lecturing post at UNISA, and the last 5 years of his life he was at UNISA. So we moved to Pretoria, and and I was born in Pretoria. So everything I told you now, I only heard. I wasn't part of that. And then, so my dad then passed away in 1968, and you will also see his grave today. So we're burying my mother next to him today. And then that was a very tumultuous time. So my mother was 36 at that time, having 4 kids and not knowing what to do. So she's never really worked in her life except for running a congregation, which she did very well. So she did some teaching jobs in Pretoria for a few years, and in 1972 we moved to Kensani, which is a mission station in Limpopo, in the northern parts of South Africa. And we lived there for about 5.5 years, but it feels like a lifetime. And there she really, she was still very sad about the loss of my dad, and that was always something that she struggled with. But she really started to, as you all know, starting to become very creative and very adventurous. So she was a social worker there. That's where Elsie was introduced to us, and where Elsie became my sister, and her sister Vina a bit later on. And that's really where my mother started to, we went out, and I still remember with the Volkswagen Beetle driving across all the rural parts of the then called Gazankulu or Guyane, and teaching women how to do handcrafts with sisal. And then my sister Olna, who was then at university, had to take all of those products and bring it to Pretoria to sell it here at churches or at shops. So she really was very creative at that stage. We also built churches then, so in a few of the more rural settings. I still remember us making bricks from clay, and she organized all of that. At one stage, she was an undertaker, you won't believe it, where she sold coffins out of the church. and even once or twice she actually used our VW Combi at the time as a hearse. So we actually also helped to be with people at funerals. And the last few years, or the last year or two in Kensani, she also started vegetable gardens. So next to the sisal factory, she used all the water that came out of the factory to actually water the vegetable gardens. So just an amazing way that she just saw all this potential, and just her care for people was just amazing. And stuff, a lot of that I've learned from her in those years. So then she met Dick, like a lot of you know, my stepdad Dick, at Kensani. He came there as a construction worker, but he also came to have his meals at the same place where we had our meals, because my mother wasn't a very good cook, so she preferred to rather get somebody to make food for us. She got married to Dick in 1978 when I was in Standard 6 at the time. And then we moved away from Kensani, and they joined Youth with a Mission in Hammanskraal. And there she did some Bible school training, but there she and Linda actually mentioned it on the WhatsApp group this morning. They went on an outreach with the Argentinian World Cup football, where they went with Johnson's brother Edward and his wife to do an outreach at the World Cup. And she also went on a number of outreaches in South Africa and also across Africa. So also a very interesting time in her life. So then we had some challenges in the family. So in 1981, she and Dick left, and they found Kwasi Sabantu. And the number of years, I think more than 30 or 40 years that they spent at various places in Kwasi Sabantu. I was just thinking about it last night when I couldn't sleep, about all the places that they went to. So at one stage they were doing a chicken farm, so they were running a chicken farm. And then they were down in Kranskop, they ran a cheese curl factory. They were at Malalaan, always at your place for some time, where they also met a lot with Johnson and Linda. And at one stage they were in Salt Rock, staying there in, I think, Erli's apartment for a few years. And then obviously my mother was then also the teacher at Kwasi Sabantu, which she really enjoyed. So one of her big trades was to actually to teach people and to develop people. That was important to her. So. And Kwasi Sabantu, Erlu was really good to them. And I still remember when Barend Karen went to fetch her, that last photo that they took with Erlu, where he gave his blessing for her to leave. That always was in her room in the last 5 years. So then when Dick passed away at Kwasi Sabantu, and then she said to me, what am I going to do, so I'm ready to go, but that I think was in 2005, so that's 18 years ago, so it wasn't her time to go. And there we really appreciative of what Renee did is to, for 5.5 years, invite her into their home with the Vorster and Amanda, where they really looked after her like a sister. And we knew that that's the place that she wanted to be, so we can't take her away from KwaZulu-Natal. So we really appreciate that, Renee, and it is really wonderful to see you here today, you and the Force. We can't express our appreciation for that time. So, and then it came to a stage where she really needed care. So 5 years ago, Barent and Karen flew down to KwaZulu-Natal, and they brought her back. And we found a lovely room in Princess Christian Home. And I still remember she already had some dementia at the time, so she wasn't sure what's happening with her. And we were sitting in her room, and she was sitting on the bed. And the matron came in, and she said, she really just wants to know what the rules are, because she doesn't want to be an inconvenience. So that's the person that she was. She wanted to care for other people and really not inconvenience people. But it's probably the most peaceful years of her life. So she was so happy in Princess Christian Home. Barent went to visit her very often because they're living close to Princess Christian Home, which we really appreciate as the other siblings. But just to see how she just every time said to me, I feel so happy here and so peaceful and so secure, so protected. So I think over all the years, the fatherly love that she missed, and the protection, that she experienced in that last 5 years. So it was quite an adventure. It's quite a full life that she lived, and we're so grateful to the fact that she didn't suffer. So on Sunday they phoned me and said that she's struggling to breathe, and we're living in the Western Cape, so I couldn't. So I phoned Barent and said, please just go and check up on Mom. And he phoned me back and said she is really struggling, but they're giving her oxygen. And I was just sitting on All Cheers Eve and just thinking, it's probably her time to say goodbye. So, and then at 10 o'clock on Monday, Barent phoned me to say that she has passed on. And it was a relief to me, and it's really just, the tears are tears of joy for a mother that was really an awesome lady. I don't know why I'm as the youngest must do this, but anyway. So if we go to the first hymn, it's something that she wrote to me about in what I must put on my glasses in 1993, where she was just writing to all four our children and our partners about our dad. And she said he spent a lot of time in his study. He was quite a student. And sometimes he would just walk out of his study and just go onto the stoop and just sang this hymn. So I'm going to ask Johan to play this for us. So we're not great singers, so this first hymn is just an instrumental. But if you want to sing, you're welcome. It is the Afrikaans words will be better, but otherwise you can just listen and follow the words. And there will only be 2 verses. So if you sing, only sing verses 1 and 3. I'm not going to sing. I'm not a singer. So. But Johan, if you can play that for us. So thank you very much. The second hymn is in December 2011. My mother planned a funeral and she gave it to me in an envelope, which I only opened on Monday. But this is the hymn that she asked that we play at her funeral. So here, I think there is a choir accompanying it, so you're welcome to sing along. It is a hymn in English, but you will see at the bottom corner that's her handwriting. So I just copied it straight out of her request from the letter that she wrote to me. So, Johan, thanks. Thank you. So, Johnson, I'm going to ask you now to share with us what the Lord has laid on your heart. So, as I mentioned, Johnson is a dear friend of my mother, and we are so privileged that he was willing to share with us what's on his heart. So, thank you very much, Johnson.
Thank you. I consider it a privilege to be able to attend this service, and I thought I would have a few things to say. We thank God for Danny Frieda's life. Her life bore many fruits in many ways, sometimes under very difficult circumstances of those dark days of apartheid in our country. She persevered and was able to lift many, many people from the ditch of poverty to become professionals, such as teachers, social workers, community leaders, and she taught many to earn a living by using their hands. For example, sewing, knitting, crocheting, and making sisal items, or arts and crafts in short, and many, many other livelihoods initiatives. When we are able to get our breakfast, lunch, and supper, we might take things for granted. And there are people who really struggle to have a meal. And those are the people that Frieda reached, and we are thankful for it. Most importantly, she pulled many out of darkness by showing them the light of God. She was instrumental in bringing a certain Sangoma to Christ in Guyana area. And you know, once someone is bound by those spirits, it's not always easy. But she was instrumental in helping one of those. We also want to thank the family, in other words, her children and family as a whole, for supporting her in her endeavors. We don't take it lightly, or we don't take it for granted. And I'm looking at this funeral as something like an occasion where Tani Frieda is passing a baton to us. And as we do it, we could open the scripture in Psalm 46, verse 1, where it says, God is our refuge and strength. It is only God that can help us to move onwards or to move forwards from here and do something in remembrance of Tani, or in memory of her, what she did here on earth. And let us also look at the scripture from Jeremiah chapter 12, verse 5. It says, if you have raised with men on foot and they have worn you out, how can you compete with horses? If you stumble in safe country, how will you manage in the thickets by the Jordan? In other words, life is extremely difficult, or was extremely difficult for Jeremiah, despite his love and obedience to God. When he called to God for relief, God's answer in effect was, if you think this is bad, how are you going to cope when it gets really tough? Not all God's answers to prayer are nice or easy to handle. Any Christian who experienced hard times, bereavement, or serious illness knows this. But we are to be committed to God even when the going gets tough and when his answers to our prayers don't bring immediate relief. I thought I will also say something regarding how we met Danny, Frieda, and Dick. It was during those times when they were going with YWAM, Youth with a Mission, to overseas and all over the places. And when they came back, they were even anxious to teach us songs like the Portuguese one, which says, La cosa más grande de mi vida es conocerte. La cosa más grande de mi vida es conocerte. It says, the greatest thing in my life is to know God. I want to know him more. I want to know him more. And those days at Guyana, when they were singing and organizing groups and so on, things were good. But in short, it also happened that when I got married in September 1981, we visited Kwasizabantu, not knowing that we will find Tani, Frieda, and Dick there. And immediately we arrived. They said, please, wait a bit about these charismatic approaches and charismatic way of doing things. Just give God a chance. Listen to the messages that are being preached and take it up from there. But what really surprised us was that the very first sermon in the evening, it was the sermon which was preached at our marriage, at our wedding. They didn't communicate, or they didn't even know Kwasizabantu. And we said, there must be something here. God must be in it. And from there, we started listening to the messages. And then we started getting interested in making our lives right. And for Tani, Frieda, it was just amazing that she would draw close to us. And since they were also friends with my brother and my sister-in-law, it just became quite, an issue in the sense that they really, really wanted us to be helped spiritually. The other half of this, Linda said, please, if she would finish that part for us, and if she could come and share that part, please.
It's not so easy to talk about Tani Frieda. Before I do that, I just want to read her expression of gratitude in her handwriting, but she wrote in Afrikaans and it has been translated into English. To God Triune, who has above all been a father to me, through all the ups and downs of my life. Those who trust, I quote, those who trust in him will never be disappointed, close quote. To Uncle Elo and all the co-workers in whom God's love dwells, those who enveloped me with a love for 30 years. To my children, who lived through so much together with me and still loved me, God will be with you until we meet again. I really don't know where to start. I'll try to be short because our lives with Dani and Womdik were intertwined. There's never been a place where they lived where we have never followed them. We've been to all the places where they've lived. We followed wherever they went. The same applies to us. We worked and lived in Mozambique. They were there with us. All the places where we've worked and where we've lived, we were just intertwined. There's something that really challenged me when I met Frieda for the first time. As my husband has explained, we had just recently got married. We had a wedding on a Saturday. Then Monday we decided to drive to KwaZulu-Natal. It was September. In Guyana, it's very hot. KwaZulu-Natal weather can be something else. And I had packed my summer clothes, nothing for winter. And when I arrived there, it was freezing cold and I had nothing warm. Dani came to our room and she found me shivering. She went back to her rondavel. She brought boots, socks, jackets, scarves, everything, and she clothed me. Remember, those were during the times of apartheid. Then I thought it means, she said, I'm borrowing you. When you leave, these are the things that I'm using. We left it behind when we left. On our next visit, there was Auntie dressed in all the things that she had borrowed me. I won't explain, you understand where I'm coming from? During the apartheid era, it was going to be very difficult for someone of a different race to give me her clothes and take it again and use it. That gave me a homework. Dani became like a sister, a mother, everything to me. The other day, she taught me how to sew. When we got our first house, we went to Cape Town. By that time, they were in the Cape. No, they were in Durban. She took me to a shop where they are selling materials. She helped me to identify curtains and materials to make duvets. With her machine, she sat me down and she taught me how to sew curtains, how to make duvets. And as we were choosing the materials, I was not aware that one of the shop assistants, a lady, went to her behind my back and asked her, is this lady working for you? Dani said, no, she's my daughter. She came around without Auntie's knowledge, Dani's knowledge. She asked me, are you working for this white woman? I said, no, she's my mother. Then we met and this lady was there. She said, how come you say she's your daughter and she's your mother and you are of a different race? Then Dani said, you won't understand, but just take it like that. There was a time when we came back from Mozambique. I was very sick. I've had several operations. And the time when I was discharged from the hospital, Johnson took ill. We didn't even tell Dani and Womdik. They phoned us on the evening that we arrived at our house in Nelspruit, and they said, we're just checking on you, how are things going, and where are you? Then we explained the story that we've just returned from Pretoria, where I had an operation, we're now back home. And Dani said, how are you coping, and how are you doing? Then my husband explained that it's difficult, and she said, with who is helping you? There was no one, it was the two of us sick. Then they said, tomorrow we'll be with you. 5 o'clock, they drove all the way from KwaZulu-Natal. They came to Nelspruit. They said, we'll be here with you for 5 days, for at least a week. And people who used to visit us, they found Dani and Womdik on their aprons. They were making tea. I remember many people left our house crying. They said, we've never seen this. And that things were still difficult in our country. A week passed, we were still sick. They said, we're going to stay for another week. I can say a lot about the life the life, good moments that we have spent with them. They've taught us many things. We've been on sea, on the deep sea boats, in the Cape, in Durban, many places where we have been with Tannie Frieda. When they came to our house, they took over and were just following because they felt at home and we felt at home in their presence. So for us, it's a great loss. We know what she went through. It's with heavy hearts that we are accepting her departure, but we value all the lessons, all the places, all the good memories that we have spent with them. Tannie and Dick, for us, they were more than friends. I just feel sorry for Edward, my brother-in-law, although he has passed on, and his sister, that they made a mistake by introducing Tannie Frieda and Dick to us. Because after we knew them, we just took over the friendship, and it just blossomed to become something. They never had a moment with them. They were ours, 100%. So I just want to say to Tannie's family, especially to Alna, to Barend, to Rachel, and to Paul, and their families, that thank you very much that you were so generous for allowing Tannie to spend her life with us. We were together, we were family, and we really appreciate your hearts that you were so open and you supported her and you allowed us to live her life to the fullest. May the Lord continue to be with us and bind us so that we take over from where Tannie has left and continue to do her work. Thank you. May the Lord bless you.
We're now going to listen to the hymn that is performed by Kwasi Sabantu Choir. So that was also a hymn that she requested in another letter that she wrote me. So I've had a lot of letters to read through. But this one was specifically also one that she, and Johan, if you can play it, so thanks.
He is my
thought it's important for us to share a lot about Kwazisa Bantu, because that's where a bulk of her life was spent, and where she also found a lot of happiness. So I'm really a bad program director, and we must cater here for a number of cultures. We've got the Afrikaans people on the one hand, so you know you finish a funeral service within 30 minutes. We've got the African culture on the other hand, which 2 hours is a short service. And when I visited my barter there at the back yesterday, and I said to her, I think there will be about 40 people at the service today. She said, but that's very few, you know, because in the African tradition, this church will be filled. So even with somebody at this age. So it's just really great for us as children to see the mix of cultures here today. But why I'm saying this is I want to give an opportunity if there's anyone else who just wants to say something about Tannie Frieda. But if we can really keep it short, but I just want to give the opportunity, so sure, thanks.
Mefro. I think for those who don't know, I'm the firstborn of Mefro. Alna came after me. The way I was part of the family. When they came to Guyana, I went with them. The first grocery, I was part of that. And she taught me how to prioritize. I won't say much what she did to me. The handcraft that she taught me, it's as if she knew what is going to happen to me. For 10 years after getting married, I taught people and earned money out of macram, sewing, and everything. I just want to say that you could not steal from Mefro. We will trace the embroidery little material, and we try to prepare them for the people in the village. But you know, the other one was so good for me, I stole it. Okay, the trestier, I was busy with embroidery, but I didn't know the cross stitch. Then I took it back to her and said, how do I do this? Then when she was busy teaching me, I realized, but I stole this material. And she didn't say anything. You could not do, and she taught me how to do the sewing. One day it was so difficult for me to put a sleeve on. So I was so angry. I tried 4 times, I failed. Then I folded everything and put it in the lowest part of the kist. She had a kist for material. When she came back, she took it up and laid it on the table and said, Elsie, come and continue and finish because tomorrow you are going to school. I was one of the best dressed people in Teflo because of her work and how she taught me to do. I got money from Makram, I got what? I taught people. Even when I was employed for these 10 years in Soweto, I taught people who never went to school because she taught me to teach people who never went to school how to do sewing, how to do Makram, how to measure the things so that it becomes perfect. Thank you, Ma. I never used a transport to go to school. She would take me to school. Every month I got money from her. She would send me money in my bank for pocket money. You know, there's so much I can't say, but what I wanted to say, Mefro, ek het dit gedoen. Ek het probeer dit gedoen. When I left and got married, she gave me 2 Timothy chapter 2, verse 2. Whatever you have learned, the good you have learned from me, don't come back and say thank you, but do it unto others. I think I'm trying, but I'm not sure if I will never do it as she's doing. She did a lot. You know, when I heard that, I used to visit her in Pretoria, and the last time I took photos with her, I could not give you because my heart was not well with them. I still have them. She told me about their history. She told me what happened. And then I said, yes, now I'm not surprised. So much that you have done to us, so much that you have done to my family. My younger sister could not come, Vaina, because she has a problem of back. She has got a backache. But thank you. Thank you for my family. I thought of the 3 children which you looked after, but the South African government did not allow you to do it. After 3 months that those children, or 5 months, those children went back to their families. In 2 weeks' time, they all died. And I will never forget them. But your house was my house. Your things were my things. She could not show me the photos. She would show me 5, and then I will realize the Tranecom 8. Then we could not do it. But thank you very much. Thank you, Barend. Thank you, Paul, for my acceptance in the family. Thank you, Alna. Thank you, Rachel. Rachel was always joking with me. But I'm happy that things happened that way. And I'm happy that you left. Because when I went there last month, I was no longer happy with your condition. May God be with you. I give you what you gave me, that I tried to look after people, and I'm still trying to look after people. Not the same way like you, but the way I will be able to do it. Thank you.
When we saw the funeral letter, we recognized Tannie Frieda's handwriting. I was a colleague of her. I taught together with her at Kwasisabantu, and we received many of her work and her preparations, and her handwriting was still on it. And it brought such memories back. We really appreciate Tannie Frieda very, very much. And Tante Kay, Uncle Erlo's wife, and Uncle Erlo spoke with such deep thankfulness about what she gave herself, how she gave her to the school, and to build up and to work. And I know her in the Afrikaans department. She had a particular interest in people who struggled. And she prepared so many special begripstoetse, leesstukke, everything that could be helped that person to just catch and be able to go forward. And we just want to thank you. We got to know the friends of Giani as she was telling us. We got to know you as children, the names and what she shared. And she often also, when my husband died when I was still also young, much younger, she told me about that time when her first husband died and the struggle she went through and how God helped her, and that helped me. And I was there in the room after Dick died. He was still there on the bed peacefully, and I saw her and I saw her reaction and I saw the way that she carried it. So may the Lord keep you and you as children, that which your mum has taught you through her life, that you may keep it and continue in this faith that your mother had. And I think I speak correctly if I say that if Uncle Erlo could have his way, that which was on his heart, he would have loved her to stay there till this day. Thank you very much.
I just wanted to quickly speak to two topics, things that Paul couldn't really speak to that much. And the first is the period before she went to Kenzani. And there are two incidents that really stands out for me that I want to tell you about, because I think it also shows who my mother was. The first incident was, shortly after my dad died, we all went to the movies. Now, for those of you who know Pretoria will know that in the 60s, there weren't many movie theatres. So basically one had the 20th Century Fox close to Church Square, and we had Pigalle in the Hatfield area. And we went to the movies at Pigalle. And then after the movies, as we were driving back, and it was winter time, when we came to a robot, there was a young black kid selling newspapers. And he basically had nothing. And we drove past, and my mum turned the car around, and she stopped next to the guy, and she took off her jersey and gave it to him. And this is who she was. And it's not, so Linda was not the first one to share her clothing. And it made an impression to me as a young child. I was staying 5 at the time. The other thing that I can remember is, and Olna will know much more about this than I do, is that before my mother moved to Kenzani, she was already trying to be involved in missionary outreach. And I can remember one particular day, she was involved in Mamelodi and places like that, but one particular day we went all the way out to Hammanskraal, to a place called Kokana Stad. And there me and my mother, and I don't know who else was there, but went inside. And I greeted and I think it was more than likely the chief of the area. I greeted him with my hand. And afterwards my mother said she thinks this is the first time that this chief has touched a white man. But this was who she was. She never saw color, and she was completely oblivious. And to honor them, in the apartheid time, they were members of the Christian Institute. So basically, the completely left-wing Christian organization that was anti-apartheid. It was led by somebody called Bayers Nudia. Okay, let me stop there. But what I wanted to share was, before she went to Kenzani, she was no different. She was focused on helping people. I can't fully recall, but I know that she and Olna basically baked potatoes and sold potatoes close to Pretoria Station to raise money for missionary purposes. I was too upstairs to participate in it, but I'm sure that she and Olna did quite a lot of this. And then I want to tell you about the time that she came to Princess Christian Home. For us as a family at that time, we felt she should have stayed at KwaZulu-Natal because we were scared that if we move her, that her dementia would make it bad for her. But then we decided to go, because KwaZulu-Natal asked, we decided that we will go and fetch her. So we went to fetch her. And as Paul said, it was really a happy time for her. For me and Karen, it was a privilege to spend lots of time with her. So we had the opportunity, because we were already retired, we had the opportunity to go to her virtually every day and to spend time with her. And it was a privilege. And in the beginning, the dementia was there, but we really experienced her love and the way in which we could see the peace in her life. And this peace persisted. The last year, basically my mother was no longer with us. So she no longer spoke, and she couldn't walk anymore, so she was really bedridden completely. But there are three incidents that I want to tell you about and share, because it shows that the peace that you experienced with her persisted to the end. And the one is last Thursday. I had to run an errand to Princess Christian because I got rid of a lot of books, and I dumped the books there. And my granddaughter, who's 5, was with me. And she said, I want to go and see Oma Frieda. So we walked in, we entered my mother's room. And you must understand that for the last month, basically, she was completely absent. It was extremely difficult even just to make eye contact with her. But as Mila walked in there, my mother's eyes didn't leave her one moment, following her around the whole time. And to me, it was such a blessing to realize that even though I couldn't experience her presence there, that she was still there, and the love was still there, and she was following Mila every single second. And that was last Thursday, a week ago, 2 days before she basically started dying. And then the other thing is that the last time that she reacted to me was about middle November. So I was with her one day, and for the last year, whenever I went to her, I read Psalm 23 to her in the old Afrikaans, because I think that's about all that she still had left in her mind. But just before I left, I took her hands and I said, "My lieve ma," and she raised her eyebrows, and that was my last interaction with her. But till the end, the thing that dominated one's experience of her was how much peace there was in her life. So the last 5 years in Pretoria, for the KwaZulu-Natal people, it's sad because you didn't have her with you. But we were glad because she was with us. And it was really good for us and for her. Thank you.
Good day. Thank you very much once again. I know we've been sitting, it's been long that we've been sitting down. I will try just to be very short. Then now on the program that you have on page 6, I just want to read something there which I personally wrote to Tannie Frieda. Tannie Frieda's gentle spirit and nurturing love will always be cherished. She was an extraordinary woman who touched the lives of many, including myself. So with those words, I want to say that Tannie Frieda was my mother. I am the last born. I had another speaker here saying that she is the firstborn. So for me, I was the last born. My name is always Matonzi. I studied at the Cedar College of Education at KZN there. Then she was our lecturer, our Afrikaans lecturer. So also a spiritual mother to me. Then she said to me, "So I wanted you to be a teacher." It started there when they went to visit Malelane around September 2003 with Dick. Then I went to the church there, the mission. Then she saw me there. Then she said, I want you to be a teacher." By then I was still deciding as whether which course to take, or because I was done with matric. Then she said, "I wanted you to become a teacher. So I'm going to apply there at the college for you. So next year you are going to be taken there." Mr. DeVos can testify to that. So I went to the mission there to study. It was not easy for me But with the help of Tani Frieda, I was able to finish my course, you know, Mr. DeVos. So I struggled a lot, especially the first year, because sometimes if you take a gap year, the mind tend to relax. So when you start studying, you find things very difficult. But then now, she was the one who motivated me to become what I am today. Yesterday, on our way when we were coming here, we had a problem with our car. So I thought maybe Tani Frieda doesn't want me to come and say goodbye. So I was a bit worried. Luckily that my brother and my wife are here. They assisted, then we were able to come here, and also with the help of Paul. So in short, there's a lot which I can say about Tani Frieda. Tani Frieda, she's like an elephant. Elephant is big. Whatever side you come, so you see something big, whatever side you are coming. So in maybe explaining whatever Tani Frieda did to me, it's like an elephant. I cannot break it. There's a lot. I can talk here until late, but I feel like it's been long that we've been maybe sitting here, so I should be very brief like what Paul said. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for all those words. And I also want to ask the people online, please, if you want to post anything on the WhatsApp group, so we really appreciate it. And I mean, we talk about us as children, but I mean, she really considered all of you as family, you know. So we always joked as our 4 siblings about the extended family, you know, and sometimes we were jealous of the extended families. I asked Mario just to read 2 messages, one from Olna and one from myself. Otherwise, it will take me quite a long time to get through it. So, Mario, thank you very much.
It's quite an honor and a privilege to read these letters to you. The first one is from Olna, all the way from New Zealand. Since moving to New Zealand in 2010, I shared annual seaside holidays with Mom, either in KwaZulu-Natal or the Western Cape. Most of the time we're joined by Rachel, often by Elise as well, and sometimes by some of Mom's grandchildren. I have precious memories of these joyful times that we've spent together. Since 2018, these annual visits had to be at Princess Christian Home. Mom enjoyed playing board games with us as we sat on the patio next to the rose gardens. Rachel, Elise and I could enjoy a few meals with Mom in the dining room at Princess Christian Home. We always felt welcome at home, as I am sure Mom's other visitors will confirm. It was hard during the COVID disruption when these annual visits were not possible. What a privilege it was for Rachel and me to be with our mother again, recently in September last year. She was already very weak. She couldn't talk any longer. She slept most of the day, but there were special times when her eyes brightened and she listened intently to our conversations. I will always be grateful that I could say my goodbyes in person. I honor Mom's steadfast faith, which remained central to her life through the ups and downs of many years. Also, for me, an honor and a privilege to read the message from Paul. In the last few days, I reflected a lot on my mother's life. Firstly, it's an honor for me to be named after my mother's father, someone that she lost at a young age, but she loved and adored throughout her life. My mother experienced many challenges in her life, but her relentless faith in God, especially believing in God's provision, carried through these tough times. She truly experienced God as a father throughout her life. Another characteristic that stood out and that a lot of people mentioned to me during the last few days is a care for people. She has grown an extended family across the country and even beyond the borders of South Africa through her caring. Some of them could join us today, but numerous that we are not even aware of. She invested in people, and dare I say, great is her reward, and we are blessed by that. My mother was also an organizer and a creative person. She organized her own funeral in a letter that she wrote to me in December 2011. That included even the photo that she wanted on the cover of the memorial booklet, which I duly added, but I did add 2 other photos as well. These skills she applied in so many ways during all the various roles that she played during a long and blessed life. A lot of us inherited skills, even her grandchildren, are real organizers and to some extent control freaks at times. One thing that my mother was not was a cook. She hated cooking and would rather pay someone else to do that or get married to a husband that can cook. I recall the last time that she prepared a meal for me at KwaZulu-Natal. It was really bad. She actually wrote to me afterwards and apologized for that. These are some of the fond memories of my mother that I wanted to share with you today. I have a lot of life lessons that I carried with me for the remainder of my life here on earth. I do believe a lot of you have similar memories and lessons. She had so much peace in the last few years in Pretoria. She always mentioned to me how she was and how safe and secure she felt when she could still converse with us. It was a blessing to see someone concludes her earthly life with so much grace and peace. May her eternal soul continue to rest in peace.
Thank you, Mario. I could not have done it like that. So this is the end of the service. We want to conclude the service just by listening to a blessing. And I think Elsie might still recall my mother loved this song, which is on page 5, which is, she always wanted, if somebody had a birthday in the home, everybody had to congregate in their room and sing this specific blessing to them. And I think there's even a Tonga hymn that's also based on this melody. So let's just listen this as really her prayer for us in going out into the world and into the future. So, Johan, thanks. going to ask Charles from Ofwop just to come and explain to us what's going to happen now. So we all invite you to come with us to the cemetery where we will commit her body to earth. And then afterwards, please join us. We've organized a lunch for us, so it's on the program, on the WhatsApp group. But it's basically just down this street, across the main road, about 2 or 3 blocks. It's at the Broadbent Old Age Home. So there's a lunch, but we can mention it again at the cemetery. So, Charles, if you can just come and explain to us the procedures going forward. Thanks.
Stay close to one another. I go into the junctions, I stop the traffic. But once I start moving, I have no control of that. So please, the closer you stay to one another, the better we're going to go through the junctions. So just stay close to one another. Don't stop. Be aware of the people that wants to come in, but don't stop. Just keep traveling at the same speed. You can rise, please.
Can I just ask the 5 people I asked to help with the coffin just come forward? So thanks. I'm not going to read the names.
We're going to face the hearse. We're going to turn because that is the feet end. So we walk with the feet over the feet end. So we walk with the feet over. The head is on this side. Then I want you to steady yourselves on the machine so that you get your balance and you have more power. I will be there the whole time. My guy is also going to be there to help and assist everyone. Don't put down and push. Lift it and move. Because otherwise we're going to take everything apart. take up your places. Preferably the more stronger ones on the side, please. Shall I give you some exercises to see who's the strongest? Face the earth, please. Face the earth. Kom maar, kijk eens lief. Kijk eens iets. Ik ga aan de andere kant voorbij. Ik kom zo met mijn andere kant. Wacht, hè. Nog een beetje alsjeblieft. Ah, zo. Dank u.
If you read this and say a prayer, and then we can let the coffin go down. So I've just asked Elsie to read. This is a verse that's my mother, so it's in the program, that she asked to be read at her funeral and also to be on her gravestone. So Elsie will read that and say a prayer, and then we will lower the coffin.
Okay. Isaiah 26 verse 3. You will guard him and keep him in perfect peace, whose mind is stayed on you, because he commits himself to you, rests on you and leans on you, and hopes confidently in you. I would like to read like Aunt Imefro, that you will guard her and keep her in perfect peace, whose mind is stayed on you, because she commits herself to you, leans on you, and hopes confidently in you. Hosi yanga, hosi ya kurula, Xikwembu tatani wena la hanyako, wena la a hanyeke, wena la ri kona, wena la nga ta va ri kona, wena la nga ta va ri kona masiku hinkwawo. Wena masungulo ya hina na mahetelelo ya hina. I masungulo ya Aunt Frieda na mahetelelo yako. Thank you, Lord. Ku hi kote ku dyondza so much from her. We really learned, we really saw her behavior, we really saw how she conducted herself in daily lives. Bana na yena Xikwembu, famba na yena hosi yanga, a khuzela hi kurhula, a ya laha a khongela kona. Aya ka tatani loyi a n'wi khongela Xikwembu. Katekisa na sirha leri. Katekisa Xikwembu loko hi vona ku i khudzehele kusuhani na nuna wakwe. N'wi katekisa a khudzela hi kurhula, hi ku tshemba rirhandzu lerikulu ra hosi ya hina Yesu Kreste. Amen.
Thank you. Maybe if you can all, we're going to lower the coffin now, and then Elsie arranged that we will sing a bit. So for those who are...
Leswi vumbeke hi hosi swi hlayisiwa hi yena, hikuva nsovo wa yena iwa masiku hinkwawo.
Thank you. If anybody wants to, I don't know, just pay their last respect.
Here's some flower petals. So please go.
ni Yehova ayimelele yena ikuba nsobo wa yena iwa masiku hihikwawo bongan hosia ti hosi aikisame yena ikuba nsobo wa yena iwa masiku hihikwawo leswi vumbeke hihosi swi hlayisiwa hi yena hikuva nsovo wa yena iwa masiku hihikwawo.
Did everyone have a chance? Are they all completed?
Okay, so for those who wants to help, so they will just clear this, and if you want to help to discover the grave, you're welcome.
We're going to remove all the equipment. Once that's done, there's some shovels, just a few spades. The rest, the machine will continue to do. So I don't think you